2 and 1. But speak thou the things which become it sound doctrine, that the aged women likewise, that they be in behavior, as become it holiness, not false accusers, not given to much wine, teachers of good things, that they may teach the women to be sober, to love their husbands, to love their children, to be discreet, chaste, keepers at home, good, obedient to their own husbands, that the word of God be not blasphemed. Chaste conversations.
Our anxiety as Black women shows up as irritation or aggression, but we are not necessarily angry. We never really get that pass to be like, you hear about white women tears, but when a Black woman cries, she's looking for sympathy. When a Black woman is irritated or has an anxiety or is overwhelmed or is overstimulated, she's with an attitude. When a Black woman needs help, she doesn't get help. So when we go out and get the help that we need to get, then we're too masculine, and we shouldn't have done it anyway. And we need to depend on the same men that say that we're not desirable. So
classes and like in the service fields and serving your food. So a lot of the time, if I go anywhere, just like in regular like clothing, I'll get confused. They'll be like, "Hey, like, are you here to like clean, or are you here like?" I remember one time I went to Target and I was just like shopping for myself. When I remember them being like, "Oh, like I would need some help finding something," and it was a white lady, and I was like, "I don't work here, lady." Like
Target has a uniform, ma'am, and it's not sweatpants.
Yeah. It happens to me at the 99-cent store a lot.
Really?
All right. Shalom, shalom, sisters. Thank you for coming back again with us to another Chase conversation. I'm your sister Nasia, and we have in the room tonight Sister Shayla May, Sister Deborah, Sister Larissa, Sister Rabah, Sister Chaya, and Sister Yushraya. All praises to the Most High. You wanted to have a quick conversation about just some of the stereotypes that we have been experiencing as so-called Black women. Okay. And I say so-called because, that's not our nationality. That's not who we are called by. So that's why we say so-called. So-called Black women, so-called Native American women, right? So-called Hispanics. Okay. But just to discuss some of the stereotypes, the narratives that we hear when it comes to us, and even some bywords. Okay, so real quick, Sister Shelome, if you could just bring out real quick in Deuteronomy 28, verse 36 and 37.
The Lord shall bring thee and thy king, which thou shalt set over thee, unto a nation which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, and thou serve other gods, wood and stone. And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb and a byword among all nations, whither the Lord shall lead thee.
Okay, the water for that, sis. Okay, so an astonishment is a waste or a wonderful thing. And we know that this is not a wonderful thing in a good way. Because if we read up, just right above that, that's why we brought out verse 36, that the Lord, and please, again, sisters, read the entire chapter. Again, for our conversations, we're just in short for time's sake, but please read up and above so you get the whole gist of it. The Lord shall bring thee and thy king, which thou shalt set over thee, onto a nation, whither thou nor thy fathers have known, and there you shall serve God's wood and stone. And so we know, for those that have the understanding, we know that's when he prophesied that he will bring us over, scatter us throughout the four corners of the earth because we were disobedient. Okay. And there we will serve other gods that we should not be serving at all. Okay. And so that's a curse. And that's what we call it, our captivity. So this is not a good thing. right? And then it goes to say, and there thou shalt become an astonishment. So that's why we said a wonderful thing when we look up the Hebrew and the concordance is shama for astonishment. It says ruin from ruin, okay, or waste. All right, ruin or waste. You know, you'll hear a lot of people say, or they call themselves the chosen people, or they say that they're the children of God, but this is how they are, this is how they live. Okay, all right. It certainly can't be them because they're the ones in the ghettos. And when you hear these things, these phrases that I'm bringing out, those are the people in the ghettos. Those are the ones that are on the street corners selling dope. Those are all stereotypes, narratives, and bywords. Okay. So as we speak about that, just keep that in mind. Um, a proverb, okay? It's also an adage, okay? Which is also a stereotype, all right? And then we have the byword, okay? Something that taunts you, all right? Is something that's taunting you, something totally, completely opposite of who you really are, okay? And and there it says, among all nations, whither the Lord shall lead thee. So just wanted to start off there to get adjusted that. Also in Sister Rabbi, if you could bring out Psalms 44, verse 13 to 14.
Thou makest us a reproach to our neighbors, a scorn and a diversion to them that are round about us. Thou makest us a byword among the heathen, a shaking of the head among the people.
Hi. So there go that word again, okay? And a reproach, a big one, okay, which is a disgrace, okay? Just reading that and what we've already, just went into. Ladies, like what are some of the narratives or stereotypes or bywords that so-called Blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans have heard maybe once, twice, several times, or you could YouTube it, you could Google it. What is the consensus, even from some of our people? Okay, some of our own people would stereotype us. We stereotype each other, right? And a lot from the other nations as well. What are some of the things that are stereotypes in our communities?
One is like bywords, right? The thought, THOT, that they call our women, and then the fact a stereotype would be being a single mother, like even just assuming offhand that our sisters are all single mothers.
That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody have any other stereotypes? That was a good one, sis.
I think the stereotype would be where, like we just mentioned, two things that are common, right? Maybe they're not the ideal or the right way to do it or the natural way to do it, but then they kind of like negatively use it. So, for example, a lot of us are really joyous. We like being around people, but to other people, a stereotype from that could be like that we're loud. Maybe even another way that we communicate or learn lessons, like we're not smart enough or we have to do things harder just to catch up when that's not the case.
Yep, definitely stereotypes. They're definitely a narrative that they just paint off the rip. And it's almost like a clear thing, like, oh, they all must be like that, or 9 out of 10 of them, It's clear. It's just lump all Black women, lump all Hispanics in one, They all must be like that. Anybody else have any other stereotypes that they could think of?
Spick. That was a big word.
Listen.
Spick. That was used on me many times. Wanna be white girl because my skin was so white, so light than other Puerto Rican friends of mine. So I was even my own people would discriminate against me. My English was too good. Um,
I got that too growing up.
Yep.
How I spoke.
And it was expected for me to be pregnant by 18 years old.
What?
Yeah, because everybody else was pregnant. All the Puerto Rican girls, all the so-called Hispanic females were already pregnant, and I was working, and I was not. That was not in my agenda. Didn't have that as in my thought. So it was interesting when you brought this topic out. I still have, feelings, and I still study about how to still work through some of those experiences I've had, and not thinking that I wasn't good enough. Exactly. And yet the scripture says we are his people, we're the chosen ones. And so coming into the truth, I was like, what? I was not treated like that at all. No, you should go to a cheaper school. You don't deserve to go and get an education. It's too expensive because we grew up low income, and there's a lot of all of those things. So I appreciate the topic so we could support each other with the scriptures.
Me too. And y'all please jump in with the scriptures too. Listen, this was huge for me because there's so many, and some of them you don't even realize that you're being stereotyped, right? Some of them you don't realize that they're even offensive because you have people that are caught off guard when stuff is said, when stuff is said to us and we don't know how to respond, or that we even should have a response to defend ourselves, so to speak, or to speak up for ourselves. And people can be, what's the word, passively offensive. Okay.
That was nice. That was very nice. I appreciate that.
But that's what it is. Okay. And we just take it. But I want you to know that these are stereotypes. It's not who you are. Okay. We're going to get into it. It is not who you are. These are narratives. They try to fit you in. Try to put you in these things, and it's not who you are. Okay. Chaya said, be even spiritually lukewarm because we welcome everyone. And listen.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, yes.
Okay. Right? Yep. That's a huge. But these things we have these narratives stick a lot of the times because a lot of our people do act a certain way, and so everybody is seen that way, things like, I didn't know Black women could grow long hair, or you're pretty for a Black girl.
Yeah.
Like, and off the rip, it's like, oh, that's a compliment because they said pretty. But for a Black girl, like, so you're saying the consensus is Black women or Black girls are ugly, but you lucked out. You got the good stick. So that's a stereotype, and that's offensive. Okay. And we shouldn't accept these things, okay, at all. We should, these bywords, these stereotypes, these narratives need to be non-stick. Okay. Things like how you Who taught you how to speak English? Um, are you the first in your family to go to college or be educated? Um, your hair. I like your straight hair. It's more professional.
Mm.
You see where that, you know, you see where that passiveness is, but it's still
Mm-hmm.
offensive.
Mm-hmm.
We need to realize these things, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Um, oh, you're very articulate. Now, I never heard. I mean, I ain't been in the shoes of one of these other nations, but I please let me know who you know that of another nation that somebody told them they spoke very well or they are very articulate. Like
Mm-mm.
you're expecting me to what? To speak like an animal, like
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, passively offensive.
Mm-hmm.
Were you raised by both parents? And these are the and I'm saying, and a lot of these things can be true, but it's still offensive.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, when you're speaking to a certain set of people, because
Mm-hmm.
again, the consensus is we all don't have mommies and daddies in the household. We all act this way. We all this, right? Okay, and just walk with me because again, although some of these things might be true to some extent, meaning maybe you weren't raised by both parents. Um, maybe you are loud because one of the huge ones is all black women, all black women and Hispanic women, they just loud, 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 loud. Okay, and it's negative because a woman can't speak
Mm-hmm.
her mind. A black woman or a Hispanic woman, they can't speak their mind. They're loud when
Mm-mm.
they do.
Mm-mm.
We are loud
Are
Mm-hmm.
they
And
angry?
mm-hmm.
and angry. Con,
Mm-hmm.
Sister Deborah, and
Mm-hmm.
angry. But yet you'll never see that as if one of these other nations never raised the tempo, never been angry about anything, but when they are, it's all sad and we got to know the history behind it and find out what it is, and she has a right to be. But when we get a little, you know sad, upset, or the tempo raised just a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
it's a negative, it's a stereotype.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, do you smoke weed? Because
Mm-hmm.
you got locks in your hair. You smoke weed?
Mm.
Or you've been to jail before. You know what it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we know who they do that to. They don't do that to all these other nations. They do that to,
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
right? Um, and
Mm.
don't expect a lot of us to even be married. Like we all don't believe in marriage. We all don't get married. We all just, like why
What?
we got to be lumped in one?
Mm-hmm.
Because we need to change the narratives, meaning, okay, I might have been raised up in a single parent household, but how do I change that narrative moving forward, right?
Mm.
How do we change that moving forward? Maybe my parents did not get married, but moving forward for me, how do we change that, right? How do we change the single parent households?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So sometimes these narratives will stick, but what are you doing about it? What are you doing about it? Do you want it to stick? You can just let it stick. Let's go to Proverbs 12 and 18. Because these nations and some of our people will be harsh and say these things, but it's going to be non-stick if you're actually not in that position, if you're actually changing and doing something about it. Okay, if you've done something about it. I didn't have it in a specific order. I want to say it was Proverbs 12 and 18.
There is that speaketh like the piercings of a sword, but the tongue of the wise is health.
That's saying sticks and stones.
Right.
Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can never hurt me.
But
and we all know that wasn't true.
True.
I don't know who came up with the saying.
That's a lie.
Okay. And again, just to make you feel like it's okay for these narratives to stick. That's probably one reason the devil came up with that saying, that slogan, because he wants you to think that the narratives are okay. It ain't gonna hurt you. Okay. But yes, it does, individually and as a community, as a nation, it does. Because we don't need anybody around here saying that all Black women are mad, angry, bitter, loud, stubborn, not submissive. Are all Black women like that? Are all Hispanic women like that? La-uh. Okay. So what are we doing to change these narratives and these stereotypes? If we're not doing anything, then they might as well keep saying what they're saying. Right? Okay.
They're watching reality TV more so. That's how they communicate with us here, especially here. I see it. Because someone I work with a lot of them, and they said something to me one day. I have locks, and she said to me, "You have locks," and she went to grab my hair. I was like, "What are you doing? Touch me! You have never put your hands on me. Do not touch me." And she said, "What are you going to do?" And I looked at her. I said, "No, you're not going to go there with me."
What?
And I just walked away.
What?
And I turned around and I said to her, I said, "You need to start watching reality TV because right now it's on your brain." But that's how they perceive us. From I hear them at work. I'm like, you got to be kidding. I don't watch reality, so I have no idea what's going on. The reality is what's in front of me right now. That's about it. But that in our society today, especially here, that is how they look at us. So when they watch reality TV, they think all of women, all Black women act like that. And then if we're out dressing, and if we don't dress a certain way, they say, "Look at her." See what I mean? That's a thought.
Right.
And I heard, and I said, "Don't you ever call a woman that." And I asked them, "Do you know when you call a woman a name, you're addressing your mother?" And they, I'm not. Yes, you are, because your mother was is your mother a mother and she's a woman? Yes. You have sisters? Yes. Then she's a mother too, and she belongs to someone else too. So if you don't respect her, then you should just walk away. Well, that's how they hate when I do that on the job, but I really don't care.
You shouldn't.
I've got a point in my life right now that when you get a certain age, right, Miss D, we really don't. We say what we have to say respectfully, and on, because at the end of the day, you do what you have to do as a mom, as a Black woman. We're always survivors. We do what we feel is necessary to take care of our family. We have a husband, and our job is to take care of him without him even knowing we're taking care of him, because that's what we do. But I appreciate this. This is
and we gotta speak up for ourselves, for our children, for our community, but first and foremost, be doing something physically about it. In Matthew 12 and 36, for those same people that come at you in this way, because again, a woman could be dressed in a provocative way, like you just said, what someone would call a thought, right? A woman could be dressed in that manner, but does that mean you call her a thought?
And this is the words of Jehovah Shai. This is the word of Christ. But I say unto you that every idle word that men shall speak, they shall give account thereof in the day of judgment. For by thy words thou shalt be justified, and by thy words thou shalt be condemned.
Condemned.
Mm.
Hallelujah. Yes.
Okay, and I'm bringing that out, and then it's from both ends, on the receiving and the giving end, because we don't realize what we say. There's power in the tongue. And you know, we could be tearing somebody down just with one word, one phrase. Okay. And that's what they're doing to us. You know, the more you hear something, the more you think, oh, it's true, or okay, you know. And we're doing that all day. That's what the other nations are looking at. Like you said, it might be on TV where they see most of this stuff, but the thing what they bring in is the repetitiveness. Oh, all black men sag their pants. They all don't really have jobs. They're selling dope. Most of them in jail. They don't take care of their children. These are all stereotypes and narratives, right? And for the black woman, for the Hispanic woman, Native American woman, same thing. They never in their house. They loud, they're stubborn, they're angry, they don't want to be, you know, all these things, right? So every idle word that men shall speak, they shall give an account. They shall give an account. By thy words, thou shalt be justified. Are you speaking blessings? Is it for edification? How is this female that you just call a thought? How is she edified now? How is that speaking in meekness? How is she growing from that? How is, you know, because you could have put that in a whole different way for her to receive. Hey, I'm not supposed to be dressing like this. Right?
You were saying about things being repetitive and said to us over and over again, I was just thinking like how heartbreaking it is for households. So, you know, some households do hear that as they're growing up. And so they pass it on, and then we end up saying it to our children. And some children in those homes maybe are trying to break that curse, right? Break that stereotype and do different and better than their parents. But then they hear it so much, they become hopeless.
Correct.
You know, they still follow down that path. And that's probably not all of them, but the majority. So it's like a continuous cycle.
Right.
It affects, you know, even our children.
It does.
They hear it.
It does. Sister Chaya brought out earlier, Sister Rabbi, if you could go to Sirach. We were talking a little bit earlier. She brought out Sirach chapter 28, verse 17 to 18. But yes, very destructive when we hear it over and over and over and over and over again. That's the tactic. That's one of the tactics they used besides the physical throughout our generations. That's why we here today thinking that we Black, calling ourselves African American, calling ourselves wherever else we call ourselves, Hispanic. Those are bywords. That is not your nationality, you know? You know, thinking that we are less than, okay, because of these stereotypes, thinking that yeah, I'm probably gonna grow up and be a single parent. Okay. That you can't find anybody, nobody wants you, nobody wants you to wear your natural hair. So you have to fit into that narrative that, okay, Black women here, it's nappy and kinky, let me cover it up with some long stringy blonde hair. You know, these are the things that are passed on, the narratives that are passed on. Sister Rabah, you got this Sirach 28?
The stroke of the whip makes marks in the flesh, but the stroke of the tongue break the bones. Many have fallen by the edge of the sword, but not so many as have fallen by the tongue.
Many have fallen by the edge of the sword, but not so many has fallen by the tongue. There go again with the power of the tongue. The stroke of the tongue breaketh the bones. So yeah, that saying sticks and stones may break my bones. No.
Yeah.
The tongue. What a little fire it kindleth, right?
But you know, with all of that said, most of the things that we go through starts within our families. And in my family, I was the youngest, and I'm using myself as example. I was the youngest, and they wanted me to stay true and stay with Yahweh. And so they kept me in church, and because they didn't want me to be with everybody else. And then when I got ready to go, to school, it was fine. But now when I had a child, they didn't want me to do that anymore. Now it's like, no, you have to do what we do. And I'm like, no, that doesn't feel right to me. So with all of that said, it's just I had to raise my daughter the way I needed her to be raised. And I wanted her to be respectful, love herself, and let her know that I got your back. And so it was just her and I. And I wanted her to have, and I had a happy childhood. I really did. But I was hurt. And at my age now, my family still wants to hurt me. I mean, the name calling, and it's horrible. But I have to laugh, and I'm like, are you kidding me right now? Because I don't fit in. I have never fitted in. And I realize now that it's a good feeling not to fit in. Like, I'm that peg that's not going in that circle. And I feel really, really good. And it comes from the families. It comes from directly from my family, and it is in scriptures. And I thought that the people that are going to hurt you are the people on the outside. No, because in that passage it says the people close to you. So I said, oh, those are my friends. No, the people in your household, your cousins, your aunts, your uncle, they're not going to protect you. Because if you're not doing what everybody else is doing, then you are classified as an outsider.
Right.
You're not like them. They don't want to be bothered with you. So the name calling comes in. If they can't get to you, they definitely get to your children.
Yes.
Yep. And because of that, that's who we have to protect. We have to protect our children. And that is, you have to do that. It's just nuts.
It is. But it is what it is. And that all stems, like you said, from it in our households, but it stems from the fact that we are in this position in our captivity, having to go through all of what he said we would go through, like we read in Deuteronomy 28, right?
Yes.
Okay. So we have to bethink ourselves, right? Turn to the Most High, change these narratives and these stereotypes and these curses, change them. It has to be non-stick. It doesn't stick for all of us, Yeshaya was saying earlier about just the way things have been passed down to us, and that you keep hearing things over and over and over. If Sister Shayla May, you could bring out James chapter 3. Words might seem to be small, but they can steer others on a course of life that the end is dangerous and destructive, because this is what they keep hearing. You ain't gonna grow up to be nothing. You just gonna grow up and sell dope. You probably gonna be like just like your everybody else on the street. You in the hood, ain't nothing else for you. You ain't gonna amount to nothing. I think one of a football player, some athlete was like, that's all he was told, is that he ain't gonna do nothing. He probably gonna end up in jail, and prove him wrong. He changed that, but that's what a lot of our young men are hearing. These narratives and these stereotypes over and over. Our young girls are hearing these stereotypes over and over. You're gonna be a single parent. You ain't gonna blah blah blah. Ain't nobody gonna like your hair. Ain't no man gonna want you like that. You better do something with that. This is what they keep hearing over and over, and that starts in the mind and on a course, probably to end up that way, because you're not strong enough. They're not strong enough at that point, and we're not changing the narratives for them.
This is James chapter 3, verse 2. For in many things we offend all. If any man offend not in word, the same is a perfect man, and able also to bridle the whole body. Behold, we put bits in the horses' mouths, that they may obey us, and we turn about their whole body. Behold, also the ships, which though they be so great, and are driven of fierce winds, yet are they turned about with a very small helm, whithersoever the governor listeneth. Even so the tongue is a little member, and it boasteth great things. Behold, how great a matter a little fire kindleth. And the tongue is a fire, a world of iniquity. So is the tongue among our members, that is defileth the whole body, and setteth on fire the course of nature, and it is set on fire of hell. Verse 7, for every kind of beasts and of birds and of serpents and of things in the sea is tamed and hath been tamed of mankind, but the tongue can no man tame. It is an unruly evil, full of deadly poison. Therewith bless we God, even the Father, and therewith curse we men, which are made after the similitude of God. Out of the same mouth proceedeth blessings and cursings. My brethren, these things ought not so to be. 11. Doth a fountain send forth at the same place sweet water and bitter? Can the fig tree, my brethren, bear olive berries? Either of vine figs? So can no fountain both yield salt water and fresh. Who is a wise man and endued with knowledge among you? Let him show out of good conversation his works with meekness of wisdom. But if we have bitter envy and strife in your hearts, glory not and lie not against the truth. This wisdom descendeth not from above, but is earthly, sensual, devilish. Verse 16, for where envying and strife is, there is confusion in every evil work. But the wisdom that is from above is first pure, then peaceable, gentle, and easy to be entreated, full of mercy and good fruits, without partiality and without hypocrisy. And the fruit of righteousness is sown in peace of them that make peace.
Yeah.
All praises. That was a mouthful.
Woo.
But again, just how we are to look at ourselves, because some of us might not know that we're doing these things to somebody else. It could be just one word. Okay. And we're also taking on these things ourselves. Okay. And sometimes hurt, I think they're out there. Sometimes what the saying is, hurt people hurt people. And you might not know, we might not even know we're doing that. Okay. But for the one on the offending end, it says, in many things we offend all. If any man offend not in the word, the same as a perfect man, and also able to bridle the whole body. So it starts with this. Starts in here, and then it starts after you spew it out of your mouth, right? So this is why I read this, because like Sister Yeshaya says, like, it's a generational things. We keep hearing these things, or maybe it's not a generational thing for you, but we keep getting fed this same narrative through the news, through the YouTube, through the social media. We want to paint all of a Black woman, Hispanic woman, Native American woman in one light. So this is what they keep feeding us and portraying to the world, that this is what we're like. Okay. And so this is what our girls end up seeing and thinking, okay, this is what's hot, this is what's new, this is what I'm gonna do, and start doing all this nonsense. Okay. This is why we say we have to change the stereotypes and the narrative. Starts with us. It starts with us. We have a duty to our children and the next generations after us to change the stereotypes and the narrative and make these bywords non-stick. This don't apply here. Okay? This does not apply here. Praises to the Most High. That is part 1 of stereotypes, narratives, and bywords. Until next time, same place, same beauty. And with that, we say
Shalom.
Shalom.
Our praises. The Water Sisters, love y'all so much. And thank you for all your wisdom and for your time clocking in. We're going to get these benefits. Y'all have a good night, okay?
You too.
You too.
All right.